My name is Nick. I'm a full-time trader and entrepreneur. We put out tons of stuff for free for traders. These are real trades. This is real money. I'm putting my money on the line. This is going to be a live trading video here, locking in over $1,000 on this trade.
Wow, I'd love to get in on this.
Technical insights that really look good to me.
There we go. We're live.
Well, hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. Hope you're doing well. Today is a Monday and guess what? We're back on the channel. We're back doing live streams. How are you guys doing? Good to see some of you guys, familiar faces and names back in the chat here with me. So if you're not familiar, if you're from another part of the world outside of the US, we had Thanksgiving this last week, which is, you know, it's a big holiday where Americans eat a lot of food and be thankful, which is, you know, it's always a great time and probably one of my favorite holidays each year, and probably most Americans who enjoy eating a lot of great food. But basically, that kept me out of the office, or kept all of us out of the office for the most part for most of last week. So we are back and markets are alive and well, doing their thing, of course, always changing values. And, you know, the rumor is markets never really sleep, which if you've been in the markets for a while, you know that to be true, because sometimes you wake up and the market's still been moving and you're like, oh my gosh, what happened to my trades? What happened to my stocks? All this and that. So either ways, thank you so much for being here. Appreciate you guys as always. You guys are the best. So many good comments and questions recently over the holiday. I was taking time just to read comments and try and respond to some of them. And it's just cool. The community aspect of what we've got going on here is just so cool. It's just very, you know, the thing is, I always used to be, or when I first started making content in the trading space, I was pretty nervous about it because I had never been someone who was on camera or anything like that. And you never know what the kind of crowd response is going to be. And that can be pretty scary when you first get into this, you know, YouTube stuff. But pleasantly surprised by the fact that, you know, across the board, the community here on YouTube has been overall very kind. Of course, you get the trolls and people who are just not nice people. But for the most part, we've got a really awesome community, and you guys make that so possible. So thank you for being here, everyone. Trey, Dawn, Bethel, KYFX, Pavan, Matt, good to see you guys. Thanks for showing up. And let's go ahead and do some market stuff. It's been a minute. So we are back and we're in business. So let's take a look at DXY here for starters. I'll switch it back over to this view so that we can get a good view of what's been going on here on the dollar. Now, the dollar has been a hot topic for several weeks. So, of course, we're going to continue to talk about this and to see what we can do in terms of trying to make a judgment call on this. Now, if you guys have been watching the channel, you know that it's been a really good trading several months for me because the dollar has been so strong and I have been so bullish on the DXY for some time. That's a great place to be in. You love when this happens. You love when a market that you call to be bullish stays bullish, because then it makes trading really easy for that period of time. Now, there has been times, I'll just say it straight up, there have been times where I have a bullish thesis on something and it just keeps going down. And it's really painful because you're sitting there and you're like, fundamentally, technically, whatever, I really like this thing long, but it just keeps going against me. This is kind of like this concept of like, when the wind is in your sail, it's really easy to sail. And when the wind is against your sail, then you're having a harder time sailing. I'm not a sailor, so don't quote me on that. It's not as genius as it sounds, but you get what I'm saying, right? The idea is when you're going up the stream, it's a lot harder than going down the stream. And so I try and say that because sometimes it's really easy to think trading is really easy when you are on the right side of the trade. But the challenge comes for when people are facing up the stream. They're going up the stream and things are going really not great for them because everything they seem to touch goes against them. And I've been there, and that's not something that goes away. The difference is you learn how to deal with it better. Right? Because there are times where I'm just going to straight up be wrong. I'm going to have a thesis about gold or the dollar or the yen, and I'm just going to be wrong. Some of my, I had a couple bad trades before this dollar concept really took off. I was very long biased on the yen for a while, and there was a period of, no, sorry, not long bias. I was very short biased on the yen for a while. And of course, when the yen does this and you're short biased, that's no fun, right? Because if you're trying to short the yen and the yen is just going up, that's not cool. That's actually not fun at all, right? Or if you were long biased on the yen and it's just going against you, that is no fun either. It's impossible to know exactly what markets are going to do. We all have our opinions and our educated guesses, but there's no guarantee of knowing what the market will do. So that's where risk management and protecting ourselves really comes into play. So let's jump into some currency pairs. I just talked about the DXY for a second, but I'm going to jump into Euro USD. Now, I am still bullish on the euro, on the dollar. And so when looking at the euro, I do have a bearish perspective. I'm looking for opportunities to go short on this. But those opportunities right now, in my opinion, you guys, are a little bit slim, right? Because the euro has been so sold off. If we use this quick regression line, I've been loving this tool recently. It's really fun to play with. What we can see is that the euro, if any pullback has been around, it's been just recent. We saw a price tap just at the top of this regression trend, which is kind of cool. You saw it up here happen, and that resulted in a massive sell-off. So perhaps there's another wave of selling coming into the euro USD. In fact, I would not be surprised and would expect that most likely the euro dollar continues to trend lower until we get something very changing for the US dollar or for the euro itself. Now, there has been some positive news out of the euro area, but overall, I've been net very bearish on the euro just because it's one of those, it sort of acts as a risk off currency, similar to the yen and the Swiss franc. And as long as we've been in this recovery phase, those currencies have sort of underperformed in a lot of ways, including the euro. And so until that changes, until we enter into a period of time where risk off is dominant again, for the most part, I'm pretty short biased on the euro. But that's kind of why we saw a little bit of a bust to the upside, right? Or a jump to the upside. There was this recent sort of concern around the old new variant as we've been facing, right? So that new variant, what are my thoughts on it? Well, the new variant is kind of just like the other variant, right? The Delta variant. It has the potential to scare investors. And I'm by no means a professional on this stuff, so please don't take my my word as law or anything like that. But I do think that it is fair to say that markets react to them. They get a little bit nervous about them, but they've been tending to react or bounce back very quickly because of the sort of experience that we've gone through in the last few years. We've seen markets become a little bit more resilient. We've seen modern medicine become a little bit more resilient around these variants and things like that. So when they pop up, are they scary? Sure, they certainly can be, and they could even have impact on markets more than I'm expecting. So I'm not saying I'm absolutely right on this, but I do think that there's that potential for markets to not sort of roll over and die because of them. We'll have to see. Again, I thought when the initial COVID situation happened, I did not expect markets to do all that it did. It dropped way more than I thought it would. So, like I said, please don't take my word as law on that. But anyways, Euro USD, if anything, it does seem a little bit topside heavy if you are very short biased. But if you're looking for more of a pullback on Euro USD, then of course, there are some levels that we could talk about on the daily chart, which may come into play. So let's go ahead and clear that up. So if you're looking at the Euro USD and you're saying, I want to short this thing, but I'm waiting for a proper pullback. Again, on the daily chart, we've got a ways to go. In fact, we're still very much at the bottom of this sort of channel. So if price were to sort of start heading back up, maybe the next area of interest to me is like this zone here at 1.1530, let's call it. And that is a significant level of resistance all the way back up here. That's kind of far away. So my point is, I like the Euro USD short, but I don't like it enough to chase it. And I think that if we're looking at it on the daily chart, I think that there's a lot of potential to chase this. Now, I will say I'm also not willing to go long. I'm not willing to go long because let me show you guys something real quick on the old website. So let's head over to a1trading.com. We'll just plug this in here. So this is our website, by the way. You guys feel free to use this anytime you'd like, completely free. This is there's a bunch of tools on here that might be helpful to you if you're a trader. All I ask is that you bookmark the page and come back and use it every once in a while. But anyways, if we go down to retail sentiment, that's what I'm looking for. If I go down to retail sentiment, check this out. Very first one. Euro USD, 70% of traders are long biased on the euro dollar. What that means is that the average retail trader right now, they're going long on the euro. The average retail trader, not the institutional traders, not the professional traders. In other words, the losing traders are going long like crazy right now, which sounds weird because it looks like, Nick, that looks like a really great, looks like a really great spot to buy because it's so low, right? We've been taught this idea of buy low, sell high, but the problem is buying low is really, really difficult when you are trending lower and things are just continuing to melt down, right? This looked low, this looked low, that looked low, that looked low, that looked low. And in the end, those were not lows. In fact, those were just beginning points to the continued trend to the downside. So again, the weighted, the average retail trader is going very long down here. And so you won't catch me doing that. Most likely I'm not going long when that's happening. Doesn't mean all the time. It's just an added filter that I personally like to check out. And so for me, I would be interested in going short if price started to get a bit of a rally up to resistance. Okay, so that's my thought. Just my personal opinion on Euro USD. We'll keep going. We'll take a look at some more currency pairs, see what else we can get ourselves into. Of course, we will take a look at gold as well for those of you guys in the chat asking for some of those things on there. We'll take a look at, let's see if I'm looking around to see a couple other currency pairs, see what's going on here. I just want to see what people are saying. So, okay, when DXY is bullish, Euro USD is dropping. That tends to be the truth in most cases, yes. Okay, let's see. Let's go on to GBPUSD. Look at the pound here today. The pound is just suffering, you guys. The pound is having a rough year. Here we are on the GBPUSD currency pair, and what you'll see is that price is hitting just near to its fresh yearly lows. Okay, so this is the daily chart, and look at this, you guys. We've been just melting all year. So pound bulls have been really having it rough. And so as we look at this thing on the, let's look at it on the 4-hour chart. If we look at it on the 4-hour chart, right, it's just ugly. It's just so much sell, 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 right? And there's really no entry for me either. So because if I'm looking at this thing, I'm saying, okay, bam, there's kind of your regression line. It's not really at a point of interest for me yet. It's also quite sold off at this point. So there's not really an action to buy or to sell. And the reason I point this all out is because sometimes, you guys, there's just times in the market where you look at stuff that's going on and it's just like, man, there's not that many trade setups out there. I do have one trade open. Maybe I'll talk about it in a little bit. In fact, we'll pull it up now just because I'm not going to get too far on this pound dollar trade idea. Basically, pound dollar, maybe a short interest if we started to get a little bit of a rally. But for the most part, you know, I just see this thing not as a buy and not as a sell at this point. Maybe a retest of this level. If we get a jump back up to 1.34, yeah, we might talk about that. And maybe that's what we talk about tomorrow on the stream, or if we get the pound dollar to rally, something like that, there could be some opportunity on that front. We'll take a look at USDJPY. Here is the trade that I'm currently in. So I jumped into this morning, and I'm not going to lie, it was not the prettiest entry. So please know I am not always, I don't always have the prettiest of entries, but here's USDJPY. We'll take a look at this for a second. Whoops, I don't know what happened there. I don't want 101 day. I did not even know you could do that. 101 day chart, or is that 1 month? Look at this. What is that? 111 days. I didn't even know you could do that on TradingView. That's actually crazy. So I actually have bars here that are 111 days each. I meant to do the 1 day chart. But anyways, yeah, so I ended up taking this long position just recently this morning. And of course, we'll talk about that for a second. So let's take a look at that. Yeah, please do me a favor. Don't spam the chat. If you guys are spamming the chat, I will not do your currency pair, and we might even have to put you in timeout. The reason I ask you not to do that is because it makes it hard for everyone to read the chat, including myself. So please don't do that. So let's look at this. Let's take a look at some things to talk about here on the dollar yen. So dollar yen has been trending really, really nice. I like this currency pair to the long side. I'm generally bullish on the dollar, and I've chosen to take a trade here with a $100 risk, nothing crazy on this account. And so the idea being, if price can rally back up to the highs, there's some great risk to reward here, right? If you think about this for just a risk to reward perspective, if I'm risking, let's see, if I'm risking $100, right? And I'm going for, let's just say roughly, I hit that target, right? 183 pips there to the upside. That is about just under a 4-to-1, right? That'd be like making possibly up to $400, risking just 100. That would be fantastic. So we'll see if that happens. But, either ways, I do have a small risk on the trade. It's nothing crazy. And the idea being here that, price is basically rebounded off of this 38.2. Things are going well so far. Nice little bounce off of that. And my stop loss, I basically put it down there towards the low of today. So if price comes back down, I'm just going to stop out because I think I might get another chance to try and re-enter somewhere else. That's the honest truth. So my trade entry, yeah, it's not the prettiest, but it is still a trade entry that I liked, met my criteria for one. And again, fundamentally and technically, I really like this one overall to the upside. So quick recap on the fundamentals. I talked about the price action a little bit, right? Retest of 38.2. But this right here, this is the meat of the action. Basically, USD took a big hit last week around the variant that we've been hearing from South Africa, and though this is worth keeping tabs on, I do believe we have we have come a long way in terms of responding to new variants and protocol. And like I mentioned earlier, truthfully, I am not an expert on any sort of medical things like that, so I'm not saying that that's what's going to happen or anything like that. I just think that based on my experience in markets, the markets tend to freak out and then rally back when this stuff happens. So maybe I could be wrong about that, but I think that it's worth the risk, in my opinion, to take a small trade and to look at that. So, of course, make your own decisions. I'm not here to tell you what to do with your money. All that financial disclaimer stuff that's in the description for a reason. Please make your own decisions. Overall, I like the dollar bullish, and until further notice. Basically, I'm still bullish on the dollar because until the Fed changes its tone, overall, it's just been very, very hawkish. And until that changes, I'm just looking for dollar longs, and this pullback on dollar yen sort of gave me that opportunity today. So I am, like I said, long on this, and we'll see how that one plays out. What is your personal timeframes for your trade analysis and entries? Good question. So I personally like to use the 4-hour and the 1-hour chart for the most part, and occasionally I'll take a look at something like this, which is the daily chart. So we'll take a look at that. We could take a look at the 4-hour chart. So let's do that. So 4-hour chart, nothing pretty, right? So again, basically we just saw this thing rally off of this level. And once we broke back above it, I was like, oh yeah, I'll take that entry. So I did. So that's the idea. Are you going to give out signals? That's not what we're here for, Clifford. We are here to learn and to gain experience together through analysis, ideas, sharing of concepts, things like that. If you're looking for signals and you're trading Forex, if you're just looking for someone else to copy, I think it's the wrong place to be. I think if you're just down to copy other people, you might as well not trade Forex, because Forex is way more difficult than just copying others. Because, and I've said this many, many times in the channel, but I'll say it for people who may not have heard me say it before. If you just copy traders on the internet and you just copy people's signals or things like that, number one, you never actually build any skills yourself. And so if that trader or whoever is doing the signals steps away, suddenly you've lost everything that you had, right? You can no longer do anything because you don't have the signal provider who is spoon feeding you. That's number one. Number two is people have a terrible, terrible tendency to let their emotions guide their trading, even when they're copying other people's signals. Let's say that you're following somebody's signals, right? And things are going really well. The natural response for almost every single person that follows copies a signal. If it's going well, what they do is they pile on bigger positions because they're like, wow, so-and-so is a master. They're a magical magician trader and everything they touch makes money. And then you pile on huge positions, and then what happens? You blow it, right? Because something normal happens. A trader takes a loss, and you take a huge loss because you were just copying them. And then now you have someone to blame. That's the next part, right? We give into our emotions. The second things go wrong, when things aren't going right, they're not doubling and tripling their accounts on no risk management policies. What happens? The trader starts blaming other people. They say, oh, it's because they suck now. They're not good at trading, all this and that. And, and then what do? They quit and they go on to the next signal provider and they do it again. They copy that person's signals when it's going great. They start piling on positions and making lots of money. And then they blow all of it and more because they don't know how to manage risk. They don't know why they're taking the trades they're taking. They're just copying. So in my opinion, if you just want to copy other people and you don't have the willingness to learn this stuff, and I don't blame you, it's very difficult and a lot of work. If you are not down for the work, you should probably just passively invest. Don't try and copy people's signals because it's a terrible approach. And I've never met somebody who's long-term copied signals. People who make money in this stuff, they spend countless hours working at it. And a lot of my friends here in the chat who come here every day, they know this is hard work. This is something that we come up every day. Look, I'm literally in an office working full time. I mean, we have a business around the media side of this as well, but still the trading side of it is several hours a day. It's a lot of work, especially when you're new, right? When you get to a point where you're very experienced, trading becomes an hour a day. Like trading for me is about an hour a day. However, when I was first getting into this stuff, when I was learning it, 3 hours a day, something like that, maybe more, right? Back testing, studying concepts, watching videos and applying concepts and testing them. That's the level of dedication. I've never met a trader who does not have that level of dedication that started to make money. That's just the honest truth. So trading is not for the weak. Trey, you are so right, my friend. It is not for the weak. Bots take no emotion into account. That's true. That is very true. And bots can be great. But again, people still run bots. They still have the control to stop them and to make dumb decisions with them. So be aware of that. But good point. There is some nice advantages to trading with a robot for sure. What's your opinions on bots? I like bots. I trade with one of them that we've had running for a long time. And we're actually working on another one, which is going to be really fun. Hi, Antos. Thanks for being here. GJ. Yeah, we'll take a look at GJ. Sorry for the rant, you guys. It's just something that I'm pretty passionate about. It's kind of like people spend so much time getting to the point where they can get to a point where they have some profitability in their trading. And, other people just want to just copy that. And the problem is it's almost like when it comes to trading, you can drive a car without knowing how the engine functions. But when it comes to trading, I'm a believer that you cannot drive the car without knowing how this engine works. You have to understand what you're doing and why if you're going to be trading, because otherwise you'll make some catastrophic mistakes. Too big of a position size, right? Getting emotional, doubling it all or losing it all, right? Stupid things like that ruin the trading account in one go. So again, just my rant for the day. But GJ is trending down on the 4-hour chart. On the daily chart, it's really mixed. I did like the daily chart here. I really wanted to buy it down here, and I didn't. I probably would have honestly broke even or made a little bit of money on this scenario because when it rolled back over, just the nature of my trading style, I probably would have stopped out somewhere along the way. But as we drop big time there, GJ is finding some fresh lows for the last few weeks, and that's a big deal. We're seeing some pretty significant moves to the downside there overall on GJ. Now, of course, a very common place of interest, I bet you guys right now, this actually might be a really clean trade for people who are short biased on GJ. You might get this opportunity here at that 50% level. Check this out. You do have that zone right there, right? So if price does come back up to that point and you think that the probably most likely what would cause this thing to stay bearish would in fact be the variant that's kind of causing some stir in markets. If you think that has potential to continue to cause stir in markets, keep an eye on the short side of GJ, because most likely what would happen, just like we've seen here, is that when you get a market fear come into play, like a new variant or shutdowns or lockdowns, whatever, that causes GJ to drop. Why? Because the pound is a higher risk currency than the yen. The yen is a safe haven, slow, boomer, boring currency that does well when things are scary in the world. That's why we saw this drop. We saw people sell their pounds in favor of yens. Okay. And so if you think that's going to continue, there may be this idea here, a retrace up to the 50% level, selling in this general area, and looking for the continuation to the downside. Makes sense. I mean, I don't know. I think that's, if you have that opinion, if you think that the variant has potential to cause market stirs, if you get this rally, there may be an opportunity to look at that on the short side. Now, of course, that would be up to you to make that sort of decision. I don't think personally I would take that trade. I, generally speaking, am more risk on oriented, meaning I'd be more interested in looking for opportunities to buy the pound than to sell it. And buying the pound, in my view here, would involve a pretty miraculous turn of events. We'd have to see this thing kind of change directions. I really don't like this thing trending down so much. I'd love to see this thing break out. Like if this were to do something like that, then yeah, I would possibly be looking for long setups on a retest. But for now, because we are trending lower, this is just a no-fly zone for me. There's just no entries that I can take on GJ. Because again, I'm overall, I'm risk on oriented right now until further notice. So I'm not super interested in selling pounds and buying yens. If anything, I'm looking to sell yens, buy pounds, sell yen, buy dollars, right? Things like that. So that's just my personal opinion. But if you do like this and you're maybe a shorter term technical trader and you're just saying, wow, beautiful breakout there to the downside, let me catch that retest, something like that, there might be something there. So not bad, in my opinion, in terms of a sell setup. If anything, if I was bearish on pound yen, that would be a pretty clean spot to look at. That's my personal opinion there. Guys, I just want to say thank you for coming back to the live streams. I know we missed a lot last week because of Thanksgiving here in the US, but we are back in full force. So I do want to say, before we wrap things up here, we'll take a look at gold in just a second as our last one for the day. But before we go, do me a favor, run that like button up down below and subscribe to the channel if you are new. It would mean a lot just to help the channel out. These videos and the advertising, they help to pay for everything that goes into these live streams. Of course, they're free for you guys, but we pay video editor and producer. We basically have an office space that we have to have all the equipment in, things like that. So help us out. Just drop a like on the stream. And of course, check out our sponsor up there in the top right-hand part of the screen. If you're looking to get funded, check out Trader Central. There is links down below in the description, and I would highly encourage you to at least go do your due diligence on them. If you're looking for a funding program, tell them we sent you over here on the Trader Nick channel or on the A1 Trading channel if you're watching there. We're live on 2 channels right now, which is kind of cool. So with that said, our last one for the day, we'll take a look at gold. Gold, here we go, you guys. You guys love gold, and I think we've got a little role to play for you. I think Chandler can run that here in just a second. Let's give that a go. Let's see. Hopefully, maybe. Do we have it today? I'm looking for it. I don't think we have it. Unfortunate. Oh, wait. Yes, we do. Here it is.
I came here for gold, and I'm gonna get it.
See, that I feel like that's half the people in the audience. Everyone loves their trading of gold. So we'll take a look at it. We'll talk about gold here today. So again, thank you for being patient, and let's take a look at it. So gold is, it sold off. It sold off pretty good, actually. Pretty big little haircut there. We'll take a look at the daily chart here for a second. You can see it was just steamrolling higher and then just dropped like a rock. And my opinion here on gold is that that sell-off was pretty intense, right? That sell-off, but you know, it's doing the same thing that it did back in 2020 when the stock market came down. Gold came down just as much, right? And that was kind of, or not just as much, it came down as well, and then it rallied. So my opinion on gold is that I do think it's possible that we do see overall a rally. and a continuation to the upside on gold. I do think that bull is still alive in there somewhere, but it just goes to show that gold tends to drop, at least in the last several years. We see gold coming down with the stock market, which is kind of an interesting phenomenon. You would think, okay, gold is risk off. People buy gold when stocks get scary, but remember that the stock market coming down and gold coming down with it can mean that when things get scary in the world, right? We saw that drop on the S&P 500, and then on gold we saw the drop as well. Sometimes that's a little bit confusing for even for myself, right? Because you would think gold would do well, people would be selling their stocks going into gold, but that's just not been the case. But either ways, I do think that the bullish case for gold is still alive. But I would really like to see some form of a breakout outside of some of this big resistance that we've got marked up. So 1860 and then 1830. Both of those levels seem to be pretty big barriers. And honestly, if you look at the 4-hour chart, kind of 1810 as well, right? 1810, big area of resistance, 1830 and 1860. If we were to start to march higher, if we see some momentum come into gold, maybe there's opportunities to look for intraday or even intra-week setups on the long side. So that would be my opinion. I like the idea of bullish on gold, but it's got to start the engines, right? It's got to be moving for me to get involved. I don't like to buy gold when it's just selling off because it can sell off for months. So I like to see it give me that burst of energy. Looking for pullbacks after the fact is kind of the name of the game, in my opinion, when looking at something like gold. So that's the idea. But anyways, you guys, that is going to wrap it up for me today. Thank you so much for being here and for staying patient till the end. If you made it to the end, like I said, you guys are the best. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. And with that said, we're going to wrap it up there, and we will see you back in the next one. What's up, you guys? Thank you so much for making it to the end of today's stream. It really does go way more than you know towards supporting this content and our team here behind the scenes that makes all of this content possible. Before you go, I want to invite you to join our free Telegram and our free Discord, which will both be linked down below in the description. We share trading ideas, we share tips and tricks, broker recommendations, things that may be helpful to you in your trading career. And again, it's completely free. So down below in the description, click those links, join us there, and we'll see you in the next stream.